ask the question on behalf of the user?
Sure, then we will do it.
Okay.
Last 15 minutes.
You'll be able to see all the questions in Q&A box, Sandeep. But yeah, Jatin will be taking up all the questions. Like he'll voice them out.
Okay. It'll be better that one of you just pick up the questions and ask me, so they'll become more interactive.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I will basically just keep this link somewhere. Okay. Just keep on getting missed out. Okay. 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes, then we will start at 4.
Okay. You guys are going directly live from the Zoom or how?
Yeah, we are live.
Okay. I can see 20 participants in this.
Yeah.
So the audience are also in the Zoom meeting? Or?
Yeah, they are. We have started the live webinar.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the session. I hope that you guys like it. I'll just finish up my... Okay. All right, perfect.
So give us 1 minute more and then I will start.
Okay.
Jatin, let's wait for another 2 more minutes.
Sure.
Let the participants dial in. It's just 4.
Yeah.
I think go ahead with the YouTube live.
Sure.
Let's go extremely punctual.
I think we can start at the end, Sandeep.
What?
We can start, right?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. So, first of all, SIIC Startup Incubation Innovation Center, IIT Kanpur, welcome all the participants who have joined us today in our webinar. So, as you all aware that artificial intelligence and machine learning are the new buzzword in the modern era, and a lot of innovation are happening around it and with the help of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So in order to get familiarized with these words, SIIC IIT Kanpur has organized a webinar series known as Artificial Intelligence Hour, AI Hour, under which we will organize some interesting sessions about the artificial intelligence, about its technology, how it can be used in the modern era. So in order to start the first session, which is about what is the power and how the power of AI and ML can be used by entrepreneurs and startup in their organization. So I have today with me Miss Aditi Kumar, who is the AVP of Bio Program at SIIC IIT Kanpur, and our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Sandeep Giri, who is the founder of CloudX Labs. So I will request Miss Aditi Kumar to give us a brief note about the SIIC ecosystem and get us introduced with Mr. Sandeep. So Aditi, over to you.
Thanks, Jatin. Thanks for introducing me. Hi, welcome to all. For all those who in the audience who are not aware about SIIC ecosystem, so just quick introduction about the Startup Incubation and Innovation Center. So this is the technology business incubator that we host at IIT Kanpur. And fortunately, we have been into this business for over 20 years now. And over these years, we have nurtured over 300 startups across all the sectors, be it agriculture, healthcare, or core hardware related products. And now the reason we have introduced this webinar series called AIR is because we are now setting up a center of excellence in artificial intelligence, where we would be nurturing startups as well as individual innovators who are utilizing either AI technology to improve existing products or existing processes, or they are coming up with completely novel AI-based solutions for improving the overall society. So today's session would be taken by Sandeep. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for accommodating our request to inaugurate the whole webinar series called AIR. And for the audience, I would like to introduce you. I would like to give you a quick bio sketch of Sandeep. So a teaching and a doodling enthusiast and an alumnus of IIT Roorkee, Sandeep Giri is the founder of CloudX Lab and Dejavu.ai, which is an AI advisor of ElcoWorks. He comes with over 16 years of extensive experience in developing software products, machine learning, and churning large amount of data for various product companies, including Amazon, InMobi, and the DE Shaw Group in the past. So we thought no one other than Sandeep would be able to do justice to inaugurate the whole series, and he has included some interesting case studies in his presentation, and I'm sure you're gonna learn a lot from this session. At least you'll be able to brush up all your basics about the AI and how AI is empowering the current businesses and the coming businesses. Over to you, Sandeep.
All right. Thank you, Aditi, and the Startup Incubator Center of IIT Kanpur. I'm really happy to be here, and it's a novel idea, and I mean, it gave me a couple of inspiration to see with other similar groups that are there in India. So it's probably one of its kind, and it's actually very important that you started the AIR. And as of today, somewhere in earlier time, what people were doing was that people were thinking that AI and machine learning was something to do with engineering, but it's actually the startup and product building. I was recently speaking at a company called Intuit, and there I found that most of the companies, like tech companies, have moved from the standard product management to something very much, with the mindset of AI and machine learning at the core. And this is a shift that has happened in the last 4 years. And this shift needs to happen. This shift is something that everybody needs to understand, because whether you're building a company or a product, this is the time where you utilize the newer technologies, newer paradigms to do either the existing things more efficiently or build absolutely new things. All right, so let me share my screen. I hope my screen is visible to you now.
Yes, it's visible.
All right, wonderful. I will be right. So feel free to ask questions at any point of time. I would love to answer. And instead of making it very monotonous, I would request Jatin and Aditi both to ask questions in the midway, and also pick up the questions from audience to make it more lively. Otherwise it'll become like monotonous and I'll be talking in my own way.
Sure.
I wouldn't even be knowing that I am audible or not. All right, so wonderful to have all of you in this discussion. All right, so this is the brief agenda. So this might look like a very high level presentation, but I'll make sure that you all will learn something new, and you will all find this to be good use of your time. All right. So great, great. And this is the brief sketch of agenda. I'll just give you a brief about CloudX Lab and a brief about AI and machine learning. And I'll talk about the difference in the machine learning process. Probably till this point of time, this one, everything looks very standard, right? But from this point onwards is something new that I'm going to discuss. About me, Aditi has already given a good overview. I want to tell you all that I have been something that you may not know. So in college days, I created a group called Information Management Group in college. So I have been coding since my second year, and I enjoy coding. And I started companies in college and later on. And I think what Startup Incubator Center is doing is something that I wanted to do at that point of time. Or you can say that if the Startup Incubator Center was there at that point of time, then it could have been very easy for people like me to start up at that point of time. All right, so this is a brief sketch. So just a couple of trivia that the kind of data we handled at DE Shaw was at a very large scale, and something that we had not imagined. At InMobi, we did AI on AI on a very large scale data. At Amazon, the mobile app that you use is the detail page of it is what I owned, and I think it's in production. If you click on buy now, if it vibrates, you are using my variation. All right, so that's about me. I'll just go ahead. At CloudX Lab, what we are trying to do is we are trying to make learning fun and for life. And this we are doing by the way of either utilizing existing videos or creating new videos, creating quizzes, hands-on assignment and projects, and case studies. So hands-on assignment, when I say, it means we have created an environment where everything is installed, and all you have to do is just log in and get started. All right. So those who are, trying to get hands-on, because today's time, whether you are entrepreneur, you are product manager, you are engineering head, you are CTO, this is the time where you all have to be very hands-on. I was just before this talk, I was having a discussion with somebody who is trying to hire or mentor a CTO in their organization. And his point was that we need even the CTO to be very hands-on. All right. So whether you're entrepreneur or product manager, make sure you go through CloudX Labs projects. That way you will learn how to build things, how to be, because lots of startups, lots of ideas come when you do things. Okay. So this is the time where most of the ideas came to me, even in college time when I started doing things. Started building things, and you take up an existing thing and you think about how else can I make it? What all variations can I make it? And so on. So all the things, a lot of magic happens because of doing lots of hands-on, right? So somebody was basically fiddling around with one of the face recognition tool, and once he got a feel of it and how the face recognition worked, they ended up creating a very great computer vision company. And that's something that I want to say, that make sure that you are hands-on. All right. So this is not something new. We all know it, that the AI edge of today is everywhere. All right. AI as in the artificial intelligence is everywhere. This is not something new. Whether it's about building the autonomous car by Google, this is Waymo. I'm not sure what's the state, but this is something there. Then, or building the robot. This is Sophia robot, and it's right, one of the robots that got kind of citizenships in the history, the first one. And whether building a Mars rover, right? Recently, the one that NASA launched, a lot of parts of it were driven by AI and machine learning. Or you are trying to do, you're trying to do generalized intelligence. So whether it's about recognizing the faces, recognizing emotions, almost everything is driven by machine learning, or the voice recognition. Today's voice recognition, you might feel it, has gone really, really good. The things like Alexa, things like Google Home, they're successful because the voice recognition quality has gone really, really well. And all of these things are also available to everybody. Similarly, when it comes to playing game, the playing game has also become something really, 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 you can say, the analogous to analytical thinking. So AlphaGo, for example, one of the algorithms from Google, it defeated the world champion of Go. Earlier, when computer defeated humans in chess, that was not AI or machine learning. It was rule-based programming. But now, the algorithm that AlphaGo played, okay, against humans was something that the world champion was shocked to see. When Lee Sedol, the person who was a world champion, when Lee Sedol saw AlphaGo playing the moves, Lee Sedol was surprised. He got the shock that these moves are not something you should be doing. And those were the moves that got Lee Sedol defeated. So the point is that coming up with its own moves is something that is the intelligence of this era. And similarly, almost every industry is utilizing the AI, be it agriculture, be it healthcare, be it travel or tourism. Almost every industry will utilize the AI or machine learning. The one thing that I want to say at this point of time, if you look carefully, what exactly human brain does prediction. We try to predict things. We try to predict what's going to happen next, right? And prediction is, though it is kind of a negative word for us, but truth is that even when there is a stone rolling down and I'm standing here, right? I'm trying to predict, shall I move to the left or should I move to the right? Or should I stand here? Now this is prediction. Even at very primitive level, we are trying to predict. Look at carefully. Everything that we have designed around us, whether it's measuring without measuring, whether it's calculating without calculating, that's mathematics, right? Or doing physics. Almost, if you look at all the human sciences are designed around predicting something, right? Predicting something, because the brain's role is to predict in order to survive, right? So it's, and what we are doing right now is we are building prediction machines, the machines that can predict exactly the way human does. The intelligence, when we call it, intelligence is essentially prediction. Every form is a prediction. Creation is a prediction. Similarly, when you are creating something, let's say I'm creating a painting, I'm predicting those strokes that would look really good. Or I'm playing a game, I'm predicting those movements that would lead me to win the game. So essentially, if you look at everything that we do prediction. And what exactly is machine learning and AI? Building a machine capable of doing predictions. All right. So similarly, so agriculture industry or healthcare or biotechnology industry, almost every industry, if you look at it closely, they are trying to predict. They're trying to come up with a mechanism or predict a way in which they can earn more money, they can save costs, or in case of, if you take the agriculture, for example, predict what kind of crops do we grow, what are the prices to produce, what are the prices, what would be the prices of the produce, and what is the process to follow. Okay, so basically almost every industry would be or is being impacted by the AI revolution that we are living in today. All right, so you might hear a lot of terms. I just want to clarify all these terms very quickly. So artificial intelligence is building the intelligence by the way of using hardware, using the coding or rule-based programming, or using data. I'm using the intelligence generated from the data, that is machine learning. And a special field of machine learning is called deep learning, whereby we utilize the deeper techniques such as deep neural networks for doing the predictions. All right. So intelligence is all about So AI is all about this objective. How would we do something as intelligent as humans? While machine learning is a technique whereby we utilize data to infer the relationships or to infer the rules automatically. While the rule-based coding is where humans have already figured out the rules of the game and they are coding in the computers. All right. The third one is the hardware. So lots of intelligence need hardware like sensors as well as the motors and for the movements. And there are lots of things that are needed. If you're building a machine or robot, you will need a lot of hardware. All right. So the other question that you might ask is, what exactly is the machine learning? Machine learning is essentially the field of study that gives the computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. So one of the questions that people ask at this point is that, can your computer do something that you have not trained it for? The answer is yes. And that's exactly the power of data. Okay, so the computer is not really memorizing all the things that it has seen in past. Instead, it is trying to generalize. And the more you generalize, the better it gets. Okay, so essentially, the machine learning is the magic of this era. One part of the machine learning called deep learning is something that has seen recent mechanisms, recent developments that have changed the use of machine learning in the industry, that have increased the use of machine learning and AI in the industry. So essentially, imagine a world whereby we are able to gather the data and solve the problems automatically. Gather the data, infer the rules, and able to predict the kind of disease, predict the mechanisms to avoid the disease, predict the mechanisms to avoid the sadness and the pain, and so on. So essentially, gather the data and automatically solve problems. That is the agenda of the new generation of science. And this is in all verticals. All right. So a question is, one of the questions that I want to take is from Shivam. How does one start working with AI or machine learning? Let me take it towards the end. It's a good question, but that doesn't mean don't ask other questions. Please do ask other questions. I want to take up the question that how does one start working with AI or machine learning? I'll take it up towards the end. All right. So wonderful. So one of the simple thing is, okay, let's start machine learning now. I'm just going to give you the little bit more technicalities. So stay here so that you can utilize this time to learn something new. Okay, I'm not going to talk too much generalist things. I'm going to talk very specific, and I'll make sure that you all walk away with something new today. All right. So we all know this part that there is something called algorithm. Instead of we figuring out the mental model, it's the algorithm that is figuring out the mental model. So this is the training phase of machine learning, right? In machine learning, unlike the normal code, in the normal code is we code it and put it in production and it works, right? It works. But in case of machine learning, you have a training phase and you have a prediction phase, right? Just like we have in our life, that there is a phase in which we grow and learn, and then we start working and doing the job. Similarly, we have phase with the machines. And in some cases where somebody else has prepared a model, we don't need to do this training phase. This is called training phase, where our algorithm is looking at the experience or data and converting that into some kind of a model. Okay. And the prediction phase is where you have the live data coming in, and the model that we generated in the previous step is being utilized to do prediction. All right. So now, this exactly is the machine learning process. It is two-phase process. In some of the cases where somebody else prepares model for you, like we talk about something called transfer learning. In those cases, what happens is somebody else has prepared these models for you, and you are just utilizing those models. In those cases, you may not have the first phase. You may not have this phase. Instead, you will have only this phase. But sometimes when we are taking up the intelligence or the rules from somewhere else, sometimes you might have to tweak this model, retrain a little bit. And therefore, this kind of a T structure whereby there's a training phase and there is a prediction phase, these two phases would remain as such. Okay, so keep in mind that this is something that is important. If somebody is not understanding this part, this is right. I mean, you have to understand this part, that there is a training phase and there is a prediction phase. Okay, and you have to look at this. Do you want these phases to be separate, on separate machine, separate data, or do you want them to be live, and so on? And that's where the differences between various companies arise. Do you want to do the real-time learning as new data is coming in, you're training it, and so on? Or what should be the difference between this phase and this phase? Should we, every 15 days, should we train and put it in production every 15 days, or should we put it every day? And those are the few differences, and you will find in different projects and different ideas. All right. Now, the traditional way of doing work or building a product or building a company was that we study the problem. We as humans would write the rules, okay, that if this is there, then do this. If this is there, then do that, right? And then we evaluate these rules and launch, right? But in today's time, what we do is we study the problem. We understand that this kind of data do we have, and this kind of data that we don't have. And this is what we need to predict. And we start training the ML algorithms to infer the relationship between input that data and the expected. So here, the rules were written by us. Here, the rules are written by the algorithm. So the algorithm is looking at the data, coming up with the model, and the model we are evaluating and launching the model. If there is an error, we go back and study the problem. So this is, you can see that this is the difference between earlier and now. Earlier, we wrote the rules. Now, it is the ML algorithm that rewrites the rules. Please keep in mind that in a single project, there could be hundreds of writing rules. There could be 100 different kind of rules. Like, for example, today, in case of e-commerce industry, one model is trying to predict the prices, other is trying to predict the availability of the product, other is trying to predict what would be the best title to display such that it remains the meaning, and also it retains the meaning as well as it is something that people like. Similarly, which image to display at the top so that the conversion ratio is high, which color to choose, and so on. Almost similar is the case with Uber. There are Uber and Amazon. All of them have moved on to a stage where they are able to do lots of intelligence as part of their as part of improvement of the product or the revenue. All right. So this is something, one difference. Now, a simple question that lots of people ask me, that what's there in it for entrepreneurs? Okay. As with anything, whether it was starting with of the coding world whereby new and new softwares were developed. Similarly, the ML machine learning revolution is also opening up a lot of opportunities to entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs are agile in the sense that if IBM has to change something, they'll take years to do that. But a couple of people would just able to, build that thing and be able to, sell it back to IBM or any large company. So the just like with every technology, the machine learning and AI is opening doors for entrepreneurs. The only thing that you need to do is first understand what is possible and then what is useful. So you pick up, you should, if you have the knowledge of what is possible, then you will be able to pick up that section of what is possible into converting it into something useful. So what you're looking at, the intersection of possibility and utility. Or utility is not really in terms of food or stay. Anything that people need is utility, whether it's social graph, whether it's Instagram, almost everything, whatever people need is the usefulness. That's what is the usefulness. Thanks to Karl Marx, that's the definition of usefulness. Whether it's lipstick or it's food, it's all utility. It's all use, or it's something that people want. Okay, so as an entrepreneur, keeping away our biases in terms of what is a good product, what is not a good product, leave that aside. You just think of what is useful for people. Okay, and yes, sharing photos is utility, and that's what people want. So what is useful, what is possible, if you overlap the two, you will be able to figure out the intersection of what can I do in the game. All right.
I think Sandeep, we can take this interesting question by Shiv Kumar Yadav,
okay,
which is related to what you are saying right now. So, sir, how do we brainstorm new problems that ML can solve? All field about which data is available is already taken by experts, and solutions are present in industry.
Yes. So the idea would be, so the question is that, what do I build, right? Yes. Okay. So essentially, what you do is, let me just select that. So question is, how do we brainstorm new problems that ML can solve, right? So my suggestion will be, and that's a very good way to think. Okay, that's a good way to think, so that you attack this arena of possibility. You attack this arena of possibility, and trust me, whatever you do in case of possibility, the 95% of the things you will be able to find a use of. Okay, like in 2007, I was interviewing. I was basically hiring some engineers, and was having this discussion. I asked this in the discussion that do you think that people will watch others play online computer games? And everybody laughed at this idea at that point of 2006, I think 2006. So everybody laughed at me saying that no, who would like to watch people's videos online? And today, if you see Twitch, you see so many YouTube lives, you'll find that, yes, lots of people actually want to watch. So coming back to it, the usefulness is still something very subjective and something that we can't see. But what we can see is the possibility. So what you do usually is look at existing products, and I'm going to walk you through something called pre-trained models or Model Zoo. And there in the Model Zoo, you will find lots of, models and what is possible, what is not possible. And by looking at it, you will be able to figure out that, okay, this is something that I can do. You can just tweak the problem statement a little bit and then see if it adds to new values. So like, for example, if you take a look at existing face recognition models, their accuracy, you will be able to build that confidence that, okay, if I build a new kind of system whereby face identity is used, it is very much possible. Okay, so you start by tinkering around what is possible. Okay, and once you start tinkering around it, you will be able to brainstorm that, okay, these are the 5 things or 5 variations to the existing system I can bring in. And out of these 5 things, these 3 things seem to be really, really useful for people, or at least I would like to use those. And this is where you start your company or idea or a product in existing company. All right. So this is where you start. So you start by looking at by looking at number 1, the Model Zoo. Model Zoo is where you have all kinds of people posting their models and reviewing you should review those models. At the same time, you can take a look at the recently published papers. The beauty is that most of the papers today are something, they carry a demonstration with them. Like, for example, that converting a face into, say, 6 points, like both eyes and nose and mouth, can be done in real time in your browser, right? Similarly, that you can just do it in JavaScript, and there are a couple of models that can be run, the AI models, the machine learning models or deep learning models, they can be run inside your Chrome browser or any browser for that matter, and that too in real time. So that's the exploration phase, where you explore what is possible as of today. And then you combine, ensemble, or either you combine, ensemble, and figure out what is useful that you can build out of it. Okay, so that's the idea. All right. A quick question is Model Zoo a platform? No, Model Zoo is just a website where people keep on uploading their pre-trained models that you can use. All right, I'm going to walk you through that. I'm going to walk you through a couple of such platforms. Okay, can you give examples of specifically which functions does companies like Amazon use AI on ML? Okay, so almost everything. So we were the first one, especially the landing page that I owned at Amazon. Right? If you see the detail page at Amazon, the detail page is the one where you do the buy now. So we were the first one to convert the data into money. Okay. So we got, our click-through rate from the email was very low. Okay. The recommendations that we sent in email, basically people were finding them to be like spammy. Okay. And that's where this beautiful idea came along, that we can actually understand people's behavior, and start sending them the recommendations in email. And then those recommendations become so, so useful, as in they gave us around 28% of revenue jump. Okay, the recommendations. So the data, the information, and converted into recommendation, and recommendation gave us the good revenue jump. All right. So that's like the starting point. But today, whether it's availability, whether it's managing the routes, figuring out the offers together, figuring out the locations of warehouses, figuring out which one will go empty quickly, figuring out the load on the website. So every Christmas, we right at Amazon, before every Christmas, we have extremely big load, or you can say the Black Friday sales are really, really big. And every year from January, Amazon starts this exploration into what will be the load this year, December. So we work hard predicting the load this year. Predicting the load includes the population growth of the world, population growth of all the competitors, like the growth of competitors, everybody. So coming up with the number that this will be the number of concurrent requests on Christmas was a big deal. Okay. Similarly, almost every function today at Amazon is actually machine learning. And if you take a look at Uber's blog, Uber has a very popular blog on AI and machine learning. You should take a look at that. They are using the AI everywhere. Okay. Similarly, Airbnb, and similarly, almost every tech company. Okay. So it's a matter of utilizing the available data, available code, available models, and all the three things: available data, code, and models, in order to build beautiful product for the world. Okay. All right. Now, so a very common question is, what's there in it for entrepreneurs? Okay. A very, very common question I get that, hey, there is this popular tweet by somebody that in order to build a startup, you first need to build a UI, gather data, do intelligence, and do. This is a very pessimistic view on the use of AI in a startup, but I do not agree with that. Okay, so what I have seen in recent past is that lots of startups have come up. They have done better face recognition, better voice recognition, utilizes face recognition into building a signature system. Similarly, many things. So lots of startups are able to do it better than the existing players by the way of utilizing these three techniques. So, all right. So 3 techniques is number 1, automate. Okay. So automate in the sense that you should build products in order to gather data and do other kind of things. Okay. So also when you're building your product, you should look at what are the parts that require automation, the parts that are still manual, can we automate them? So look at, let's say, an existing player, right? And see what are the things that they are doing manually. Take up a case study on manufacturing, case study on anybody, and look at what are the things that they are doing manually. And just pick that problem statement and build a startup around that. And trust me, you'll be able to do pretty well. Okay, so that's first thing. Second is augment. Okay, so one is you pick a product or pick a process and automate parts of it. Okay, that's one way to come up with good ideas. Okay. The other way of coming up with good ideas is augment. Okay. So, okay, this is something that I always tell. And okay. So big companies, great startups are not built by unique ideas, like completely unique idea. No. Great startups are built by picking an existing idea and make it really good. Before Google, there was Alta Vista, there was Yahoo, and there were many others. But Google just figured out one way of giving better recommendation of search results, and that was based on the graph, and that changed everything. Similarly, many other companies, they basically took the existing product and figured out what can be done better in that. Okay, so essentially what I'm saying is that just copy a business, sorry to use that word. So copy the business and figure out how you can do better, or observe a business, observe a company, figure out which part needs automation and build that part. Okay. And third is specialize. Okay. Okay. The other way is that you take the global AI product. Okay. So let's say that Google is doing the natural language processing for all kinds of people. You take those solutions, you take those products and specialize those. Okay. So like, for example, you might do it for lawyers. Okay. You might do a better job for lawyers, for contracts, for recognizing text or understanding the meaning of a medical prescription, or you basically take a working global AI machine learning product and then you make it specialized. Okay, so those are the three ways of thinking about new product. Okay, either you take one part of existing company and generalize it and make it popular. We call it invent and simplify. And second one is augment. You basically take existing business and you augment it with AI or intelligence one. And third one is specialize as in take a large product that is already running and something like face recognition, voice to text, and so on, and or OCR, for example, and do it, customize this product for a particular vertical or a particular segment. Okay, or maybe let's say for a particular language. If Google, right? If Google Translate is not working for Hindi to Tamil conversion, it is completely okay to come up with that, and probably that will have hundreds of other utilities in the industry. So that's the first thing that you have in industry for you, the parts, right? So how to build a new product or a service? These three things: augment, automate, and specialize. Okay. The next thing is okay. So there is a very good question from Abhilash that has come at the right time. Okay. Abhilash's question is, ML model could take time to work accurately. Will people accept a product or platform which is not very perfect? Maybe 80%. What should be MVP in such case? Okay, very important question. Let me answer that very quickly. Okay, so okay, I'll answer this. This is a very important question. So the question is this, that some of the machine learning model may take time to work accurately. Will people accept a product or platform which is not perfect? Maybe 80%. What should be the MVP in such case? Good. There are many things that you can do in such case. Imagine that you're building a machine learning model, or imagine that you're building a very simple tool whereby kids are writing their answers using hand-drawn text, right? I'm just converting your question into a real product, okay? So imagine for a moment that there is a simple problem whereby simple product in mobile, whereby the kids do addition and subtraction and give their answers by writing, right? And it automatically recognizes characters and rewards them based on whatever. Now, you want to build this. Okay? And you realize that the technology you are using is, say, the handwriting recognition is around 83% accurate. Okay, 83, that's the actual number. Okay, the classic technology, that was 83%. So you ask lots of questions at this point of time to yourself. Number one, if I launch this product to my users, which has 83% of accuracy, will it harm them? Is there another way out? Okay. Okay, is there other way out? Okay. Second, first thing is this accuracy, you should be able to define, is it the precision we are looking for or accuracy? So once you go through the machine learning terms, you will understand that there's something called precision and recall. So you can fine tune your model to precision so that if in case of doubt, should it fall to the safe side or should it fall to the unsafe side? Okay. And that is the first thing that you need to do, that when you're building a product, the lesser efficiency, if it is harming your business model, then you should not do that. Okay. Instead, come up with something whereby if the efficiency is lesser, it should help you in some way. Or you make your model such that in case of doubt, do not give the results. Instead, tell that I don't know, right? In case you gave a wrong prediction, it might harm. So specifically study the business problem. Imagine that you are giving recommendations of videos in YouTube, and there you are trying to predict what is baby safe. Okay, and your model is not baby safe. Okay, your model is not accurate. So what you'll do is you'll make it work for precision, that in case of doubt, in case the confidence is less than this, do not show any video instead of showing a video. Otherwise, you might end up showing unhealthy video to your kid or to the kid. Therefore, that's the first thing that you got to learn, the difference between precision and recall, difference between fail-safe and the error-prone system. That is the first thing that you need to understand. How can you control your system to first, how to change your system to give you the possibility. Second, how to optimize for, or to optimize for precision. And third is that these are very important questions. Probably, I hope that this is something that you'll walk away from this discussion. Now, next question is that look at the industry, look at the existing model, okay, and see what exactly is exactly is the accuracy or precision or whatever is your metrics is there for other models. Can you improve the performance? You can improve performance by, number one, getting better algorithm. Number two, coupling the algorithm with multiple algorithms. We call them ensemble learning. Third is making the model complex, making it better. And fourth is bringing in more data. And those kind of things would help you. Bringing more data as in terms of augmentation and synthesis. So that way you will build a better model, less biased model, And therefore, that is another thing. Okay, so moving on to the most important part of this discussion. Question is a question that many people ask is that we are just a startup and we don't have data, we don't have too many computers to do the training, and we don't have too much money to spend on GPUs, and the Google is already doing so much. Where is the place for me? Right? That's the question that many people ask. Okay. So first of all is the real problem is know your data. First is whatever business problem that you have picked, okay, observe what kind of data is available there. What is the quality of the data? Okay, in case you don't have data, that becomes your biggest problem. I can do all kinds of things if I have data, but I have a biggest excuse saying, hey, I don't have data. All right, so understand what kind of data is available in your field. That's the first thing. Of course, I'm saying that you have understood what problem do you want to solve and what kind of level that you want to take it up. And so you understand what kind of data is available. Next one is a number of things happen in this industry. Okay, so knowing the data is the most important part, but trust me, you may not have data. Okay, so if you don't have data, what you do hunt, crawl, and gather. That's how Google became Google, Facebook became Facebook. They crawled the data. Okay, they crawled the data from the internet. Today, whether it's cancer prediction or whether it's prediction of the earthquake, everything is available on internet. Almost every social graph, every kind of the interaction data, auto reply of Google, like Gmail, it was the first version of it was built on not your data, but on the open source data. Okay, so even Google today is using the open source data available on internet. Okay, because they themselves have their own regulation. So even if you're working with Google, you are actually like a product manager or running the own startup in some of the cases. So there also you may not have access to the data. So you hunt, crawl, and gather. That is the next thing. Next very important aspect is generate and augment. Okay, generate and augment. Okay, generate and augment in the sense that I'm going to talk about two case studies. So you can, let's say you are recognizing hand, right? And you have one photo of the hand and then you say, this is hand, right? So what you do is you basically take this photo and generate hundreds of images, like one shifted by one pixel, one with one angle, another angle, and so on. So from one image, you can generate hundreds of images. That's called data augmentation, right? And the other is generating. So I was trying to, do this auto captcha cracking, for example. I wanted to see if my system that I'm building can recognize captchas. Okay, so what we started doing was we started to just take, we coded it in a way that it generates a handwritten kind of font. And it started recognizing from there. So you can generate a lot of data and start augmenting it. Okay, so if the handwritten characters are not that readily available to you, what you can do is using one code, you can generate a lot of text in say different languages and in different fonts. And that way you will be able to auto label and so on. So generate and augment is another technique. Of course, there is one more technique whereby you use this unsupervised mechanism to group the data together and then label in a single shot. That's an optimization on labeling of the data. So next is use pre-trained model. Probably this is the most important aspect for you. All right. So I want to take it up a little bit more in detail. So if you are building an army, right? If you're building an army, you do not want to go and start training the baby since childhood to make him a soldier. No, what you do is you hire someone with good motor skills and retrain them, because most of the motor skills the kid learns by themselves, and you already got a pre-trained model, and then you can train them for the army. Okay, so this is just an example. Similarly, if you are trying to hire a lawyer, hire somebody who has a good literature, good speaking abilities and good understanding of the sentence and so on, good English or the language or whichever language it is, good language skills, and then train them for the specialization. Similarly, when you are building a machine learning, but building an artificial intelligence, what you do is you take pre-trained models. So many people have trained similar things. You can take them up and then customize them. And this is the idea that has changed the way we look at AI or machine learning. This is called transfer learning. In transfer learning, there are many models that are available on internet that you can take and customize them. So the other thing that I want to, when you are taking a pre-trained model, there are multiple ways to do it. Number one is called embedding. Embedding is, be able to do the analysis of the outcome of the model. So using a pre-trained model, you can convert a face into numbers, and your model could work upon that one. Okay, say for example, you want to predict the age of people. So you can use this pre-trained model to convert this into a bunch of numbers, and your model could convert these bunch of numbers into age. Okay, so this way you can utilize pre-trained model and still have your own model. Okay, now there are many places where you can see the pre-trained models. One very good place is the Model Zoo. I will take the questions after this. So take a look at these. We will be sharing this presentation. I don't have a problem in sharing this presentation with all. So we'll be sharing this presentation with everybody. Also, this video will be available on the Startup Incubator IIT Kanpur, their YouTube channel. So you can take a look at this. So basically, Model Zoo, ONX model is Open Neural Network Exchange models. And then there is a pre-trained models in PyTorch, TensorFlow. So these are the pre-trained models. So you can take a look at hundreds of wonderful things that are happening there. Okay, there's some things I want to show you. Right, for example, OpenPose. OpenPose converts a person's body into points, like various points. Now, taking these points, what we did was one of the key project that we did was measure the size of the person's waist and other things. And that's a wonderful project. Looking at the video, if you can tell people their waist size and the cloth that they will fit, it'll be wonderful. So using OpenPose, you can achieve all of that, right? Similarly, there are so many wonderful, when you look at all of these models, you'll get lots and lots of ideas, and you'll be able to build wonderful products. Okay, so take a look at that. Next is data augmentation or synthesis, right? So take a look at the data augmentation tools like Image Augmenter. And so when you are building an AI platform, you don't really go and start from scratch. You start, taking a car out and start bumping into others and say that, okay, this is called accident, this is not, right? That way you will end up making so many accidents. So instead of that, what you do is you use a playground like Carla, Flow, or PG Drive or Air Simulator. So using this, you train your model on reinforcement learning after you've taken a pre-trained model, and then you can keep on improving upon that. So, and the other thing is, labeling is a costly affair whereby people are labeling the data for you. And so what you do is you do unsupervised learning, and then you synthesize data. I'm going to talk about a couple of ideas. Say, for example, I wanted to build a tool that can separate the drum track from any music. And for this, I needed the data. So what I did was I got many drumless tracks. There are tracks which don't have drums. Okay, so I downloaded all the tracks which do not have drums, and also downloaded just the drum beats. Okay, so I got, say, 200 drum tracks, got hundreds of drum beats, merged them multiple ways, and I got a million clips of music. along with that, I got, okay, if this is the music, then this is the drumless track. Now I trained the machine learning model on that so that it could convert a music into drumless music. Okay, and it did work. So this is one. Similarly, we wanted to import quiz from the textbook, and it works pretty well. And it's one of your IIT Kanpur alums who built this thing with me. So you could basically import the quiz from the textbook, and we wanted to build this tool that you take a photo and it converts that. So what we did was we used a pre-trained model called YOLO, and then what we did was we basically also synthesized a lot of data and let it work. So you can see that by data augmentation, by synthesis, and by using pre-trained model, we were able to achieve a very decent accuracy. There were only slight bit of retraining that we need to do for different Indian languages, and it did work pretty well. It's there on our website. You can take a look. All right. All right. The other thing is we wanted to create exercises from text. So we just use a pre-trained model to identify the important words and we deleted them. And that became automatic fill in the blanks. Now, so you can utilize the cloud resources. The third part was in here. Okay, that's not shown here. Okay, that's not shown here. Here it is. So here it is. So other one is these things, okay, sometimes training at your own premises may not be that sufficient. You can utilize the cloud resources, and many of the startup incubators are giving these good credits via AWS or Google. You can utilize those. And essentially, if you are not able to, so a very good important point I want to make here is that if you take a look at the voice to text, if you build your own voice to text engine, it might cost a lot. Instead, you can just use the Google SDK or Azure ML or their engine. They have trained it really well, even though algorithm is public, but their pre-trained model is not public. And so you can just use their API. It's pretty cheap, and you can get the entire thing rolling. And once you have your own money, you have your own data, you can build your own mechanism. So, but to get started, if there is an API available with Google SDK or AWS or Azure, just use that. Like, for example, for identifying the data in the forms, it's better to use the Azure forms. It's pretty neat. You can just give it any form and it extracts the data from that and converts it into Excel sheet. And that's very, very wonderful thing that they have done. So similarly, feel free to browse through the cloud resources and look at their API, quality of their precision, accuracy, and so on, and how much they are charging, and feel free to pick one of those. Okay, in a couple of places, I ended up just using the Google SDK because the voice synthesis of my own tools was not great. I wanted to convert text into voice, and I tried with my own things, tried with AWS, tried with Azure, but the best one I found was Google's SDK. It's pretty cheap, so you can get started. A number of bootstrap things you can get done through cloud resources, but don't get helplessly dependent on them. Okay, don't get helplessly dependent on them. And the moment I mean, you should know the alternatives. Okay, so the Q&A time. How much time do we have, Jatin?
I think we can have 5 to 10 minutes more. We already expected our, yeah.
Okay. All right. So this one is answered. A question from Vivek is, genetic data can be used for to design and physical system using AI and ML. Yes, definitely. I mean, I would say that review the existing mechanisms. Most of the relationship between input and output can be established using the machine learning models. A question is, how do we decide an algorithm for respective goal? Okay, so you don't need to worry about that. Okay, I'm going to talk about, let me answer a couple of questions. A question from, all right, okay. Okay. So one of the things that many people are asking is that where do I learn, and where should I start? So my suggestion honestly would be that start with a course. Probably you can take a look at CloudX Lab. This is something that I have done. I built a very interesting course earlier because many people had asked, lots of my classmates asked me about this. So I designed a couple of courses. So take a look at those courses. And if you are a completely non-technical person, take a look at AI for managers and AI for everyone. Don't go with the names that it may be very shallow. It is fairly deep, though it does not need like too much of deep mathematics or coding. Okay, so I would strongly recommend all of you to take a look at these two courses. All right, and yeah, these two courses are something, if you are from non-technical background, you should take a look at that. Other than that, you can take a look at the other courses that we are running. That's the first way to start. And the most important part is, if you have gone through the basics of machine learning and so on, do take a look at something called guided project. This most of these projects are entirely free. Specifically, try going through one of these end-to-end projects. They make you feel how exactly a machine learning model or model building looks like. Okay, and take a look at say these projects. Specifically, this one is also very good if you're trying to understand the end-to-end machine learning. This one is how do you utilize these newer technologies. So I think if you just go with the like basic understanding of machine learning and so on, and just go through the projects, that will help all of you. Okay, that is one way to do it. And of course, my suggestion will be that always keep an eye open on to Kaggle. Kaggle is a good platform, okay, whereby there are lots of projects and so on. And that way you will be able to do that. Okay, question is, creating a product needs fund. In fact, even to launch MVP, where and how to register to get funded. Okay, so it's a chicken and egg problem, and probably somebody from incubation center would also like to add to this. Okay, so I found that the funding requires that the company seems to be stable and doing some user acquisition. And once you start getting user acquisition, then many people would come and fund you, right? The problem is that to get the user acquisition, if your idea is very large, right? Idea is very big. Now you might need funds, right? Now the important part to do is that's where the MVP and POCs come into play. Okay, if your product, even for building MVP, is requiring a lot of fund, then probably you require a different alternative strategy. Okay, you require a different alternative strategy. All right, or what I suggest is break down the MVP further. Okay, but MVP is a very good term. MVP stands for minimal viable product. Relook at MVP or relook at your path to MVP. Is it going to require too much fund that you can't afford by yourself, or you couple of friends cannot afford by yourself? Then probably you need to relook at it. Okay, so see, the truth is that if I had enough money, I can build Microsoft, but that's not true. Okay, but the important part is figuring out that minimal viable product that would not require any money. Okay, or that would require money, but you can get it from friends and families, or probably you can build a pitch around that and pitch it to angel investors around the world. And then if somebody is ready and they might fund you. So that's a biggest chicken and egg problem. And that's the perennial debate. Okay. The only thing you can do is try to relook at MVP, try to recreate your story, try to repitch it, or try to use different set of words. Okay. And that would be the way. And now, of course, I'll let Aditi and Jatin to add to it if they want.
Yes. So, Abhilash, I agree that even developing MVP does require some basic funding. So as Sandeep said that if your MVP only includes developing the algorithm and running the platform, in that case, you can bootstrap from your family and friends, because at the moment, whenever we are evaluating any AI and ML based idea, we do look at the sensitivity, the accuracy and specificity of the product which is being pitched by the startup. Unless we have an idea on all these three terms, we tend to refrain from funding that particular startup. So yes, initial maybe 1 to 2 lakh rupees you will have to bootstrap, but once you have demonstrated the capability of your MVP, then we have got a lot of funding schemes available with us. And like those funding schemes are up to 50 lakh rupees for developing the final version of your prototype and do some follow-on validation. So yes, the initial, when it comes to AI ML and accessing the data, you have to do the initial struggle on your own. I hope that answers your question, Abhilash.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And a question is, do the projects are built from scratch? Okay. And trust me, there is no such thing called building from scratch. Okay. But you should know how to build things from scratch. Okay. If you are really, really looking for this, and I'm a big believer of thinking from first principle, looking at the world from just like the kid's perspective. Okay, so take a look at, say, back. If you are a little bit inclined, I'm assuming, right? So just take a look at back propagation from scratch. Okay, this is something that this one I wrote, and you'll be able to understand every part of a neural network. Okay, so this one is from scratch. The idea is that you should know everything, how to do it from scratch with the first principle without really memorizing anything, but you should know what to use in case of emergency or in case of building product. In case of building product, you don't build things from first principle. Instead, you utilize the what is best. Your knowledge of building things from scratch helps you choose best, helps you understand best, but it does not mean, it does not help you in the real production environment. Okay. And that's a big debate that I always have this, that should I buy or build? Should I buy or build? Okay. So you should know how to build, but you may not necessarily always build. All right. Now, our question is, what type of startups can leverage AI and ML? So the thing is that any startup which is around data, which is focused around data, or which will be gathering data, would be able to leverage the AI and machine learning. Today, any company, every company, either they rely on data or they generate data. In both the cases, they will be the candidates for leveraging the AI or machine learning models. What business problem can be solved using AI and ML? It's a matter of figuring out your data source, your source of inspiration, source of, because at the end of the day, when you are saying you want to solve a business problem, you are trying to predict the solution. if you have enough amount of data to do the same, you can as well train a model. But what you have to do is you have to look at the business problem, break it down into parts, and see which parts can be solved using pre-trained model or your own models. How AI and ML allows startups to scale quickly and efficiently. Okay, so this is an interesting question. So essentially, you need to figure out the mechanism to that edge, right? So if you by means of scaling quickly and efficiently means that gathering more users and solving more users problem. Okay, and almost both the things, if you look at the ways we solve scaling problem or efficiency problem, all of that has been impacted using the machine learning and AI. At what stage the company, right, of the company building, a founder should think about AI and ML? It all depends on your idea. It all depends on your idea. But as an individual, as an entrepreneur, my recommendation will be to start thinking now. It would give you more ways to look at your business, more ways to look at the problem you're solving. Okay. All right, this I have already talked about. So my suggestion is that the beauty is lots of people ask me this question that, hey, I'm not very technical. I'm not mathematically oriented. I did my JEE 20 years ago. But am I capable of learning AI and ML, right? The beauty is we already understand 90% of the things. We understand what it means by memorization. So we are parents to people, right? We have kids. Some of us have friends. Some of us have taught to be friends. So we understand what it means by intelligence, all of us, okay? And we already advise each other. We already give suggestions to each other. So the beauty is, no matter how complex things look like, they are still the common sense, okay? So it is, I mean, that's why I was able to design a course like AI for Everyone that makes you feel and understand what exactly is going on there. Okay, so you will be able to hire and communicate with engineers if you learn, and you will be able to imagine better solutions. That is another thing. So thank you, everyone, and that's pretty much.
And so thank you. Yep. Thank you, Sandeep, for organizing such an informative session. I think we learned a lot, especially being a data scientist myself. I learned a lot of things, new things today. So thanks a lot, Aditi. Anything from your side? Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Sandeep. Thank you. It was a pleasure having you with us today. And thank you everyone in the audience for keeping the session lively with your questions.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. And stay connected. Come over to CloudX Lab and have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Bye.